Okay, here we are for the finish now with the work we've done on this magnificent piece. I'm going to steel wool this now just a little bit. Remember, we have an original finish in here, and the finish that we put on top of it has been just a gossamer thin area, so we don't want to go too hard with the steel wool. Here is a wonderful product. It's only made by one person in the country, and it's a 4/0 steel wool, very fine. When you're rubbing down with this, you don't want to use your fingers necessarily because it'll telegraph through the steel wool. So I've devised these little blocks here that are absolutely flat, but they're rounded on the edges. They're 3/8 felt glued to a soft pine block. By putting it this way, you get just a beautiful even surface when you're rubbing down. Now remember, I don't want to rub too far and rub through that coat. I just want to even it here and dull it up a little bit. When you're doing this, you want to try to equalize your pressure all the time. And look at how I'm going straight all the way across from start to finish. That's very important. It's so easy because when people do this, they make an arch. You can see it later when the product's waxed. I can turn this over and get a new surface in my steel wool. You see how that's evening out and dulling it, and any little dust particles that got in the rag that transferred to the finish, I'm leveling off and smoothing down. Now we'll wipe that with a rag, and you want to make sure that the same rag I'm wiping off with, you don't want to bring up for waxing because we're picking up a certain amount of powdered finish. Okay, we're ready. Can you see how this surface is all nice and even and it's smooth now? It's not real shiny. We don't want to make this, it's a country piece and we don't want to make it too shiny. Now here is a wax that I've mixed up myself. It's got a little color into it, and the reason for that is it helps bring out the vitality of the wood. And if there are any little depressions or little scratches or little nail holes, it'll fill in and make it look better. It's a little color, and if I don't put a glove on, it'll get all in my hand. So there we go. You see how that adds to it? Oh God, look at that. Just a very, very little bit of color can make all the difference. It's a subtle touch, I admit. It's not a difference between day and night. It's a difference between sunrise and full sun. Again, it's always nice to run from one side to the other, distributing the wax evenly. Try to keep this moist by picking your lid on. Remember, I told you before, you have to have an absolute clean rag, because if you use a rag with dust on, it'll coagulate with the wax and give a smeary surface. So here we have a nice soft kind of t-shirt kind of rag. Now a lot of people like to go in circular motions first, and that's okay. I like to start out going with the grain in this manner because the first one takes off, the first rag coat takes off the main excess. Wow, look at that. Isn't that something? After I finish this drop leaf that people would put up when they use it for a card table, I'm going to finish off the top. And before I finish with that, I'd like to show you some pictures of how it looked at the beginning. You remember how all this was white marked and had different scratches in it? Now I'm going to the circular part here. Look at how that's coming up. Turn your rag off to get a new surface over.
Turn your rag over to get a new surface, I should say.
Takes a little rubbing. I could have waited a little longer. Some of the ingredients in the wax would dry. Just look at how that surface came out. Wow! What a difference between what we started and what we now have finished. It's so satisfying to be able to take something that is almost useless and to bring it back into its former glory as it was originally. A lot of the pieces that we do are done to keep the original finish. Now we can't do it all the time, but we try to do that as much as possible. So, I don't know, I just feel so satisfying to me, it's so good, and I hope it is to you also. And I welcome you to look at my new website because we'll be doing more videos, and hopefully you'll be able to feel as good about them as I am. So, for now, goodbye, and hope to see you later.